The indicators themselves, they actually tell a story that you don't know that is actually going on either in your business or inside yourself. Some of the indicators are quite, they uncover quite some really interesting things. One of the example is one of the risk indicators uncovered that one of my clients' CFO had the highest risk profile of the company. And at the time we went, oh, that's a bit odd. And when we looked into it, we found out that that was actually having an impact on the business because they didn't actually need a high risk profile CFO, they needed a low risk profile, so based on where the business was in its journey. So the indicators can actually start a really interesting conversations without judgment. Without judgment. And the most important thing is the indicators are just a guide to where it is that we're up to in our different areas of our leadership, of our risk profile, of how we actually like to operate. And as a result, we can start changing behavior and changing patterns.
The indicators, from my experience, what I love about them is that they're very simple and practical. And there's a lot of really good tools out in the marketplace that have complexity and depth, and that's part of the strength to it. And they're not bad, they're just different. And what I'm finding and what our clients are finding is that our indicators, they're so simple and easy to use that people actually pick them up and not just have this one-off learning that may dissipate over time. It actually builds over time because they can use it every day. And then we integrate that into all the other pieces that we do, and that helps it build. So we build momentum with the indicators as opposed to this sort of one-off and then things fade, which has been a lot of people's experience in the more traditional products that are out there.
If I just run through what I saw as different in my old business, I'd used things like DISC. I was trained to use DISC and the kind of Myers-Briggs style profiling. What I found was that personality profiling tends to put people into too much of a box. They're a bit too broad. I apologize to anybody that thinks they're spectacular, but a bit too broad. What I loved about the specific indicators that we're using today, and certainly I've used in my business with my clients and with the family, etc., is that they're very specifically not necessarily about personality. So drivers that help communication. We go into businesses, the number one issue today still is communication. We hear it over and over and over again. So we have an indicator that helps people understand communication. I've literally fixed a 10-year-old issue between two partners who'd been banging each other's heads for 10 years, who'd built a silo business inside their own business so they didn't have to talk to one another. And they finally fessed up and said, look, could you help us with this? And literally with Think, Feel, Know and ELM, we fixed it in 20 minutes. The epiphany that these two guys had, and they'd done all the other type of profiling that didn't help. All it did was reinforce that's who I am. But when literally we ran them through those two indicators, 20 minutes later they were communicating and talking to one another again, and that's had a massive impact on their business as well because it was essential they worked together.